Hello, everybody. Good morning. All right, I'm feeling nostalgic still. It's the beginning of September and kids are back to school. And I am talking about the ACEs questionnaire. My name is Gala. I'm an artist and a mother and a teacher and a disabled person. And I talk about all those things on this channel. As you know, if you're, coming back from another video. So the question number 6, I think we're at question number 6 or question number 5. I think it's question number 6. Um, Anyways, it's a very straightforward question on the Adverse Childhood Experiences questionnaire. And it asks if a parent has ever gone to jail while you were a child under 18. And so my answer to this question is yes. And the story behind that is that when I was almost 4, so 3.5 to 4, in that range, my father, with a long, complicated story behind it, ended up being arrested and convicted and going to jail for drug trafficking. And he had a drug problem himself, but he didn't see it as a problem. He just romanticized it. It was what musicians were doing, right, at that time and in that culture of the hippie movement of the 1970s. Even hard drugs were romanticized. And he got caught up in that movement and caught up in drug use. And because he had his own childhood trauma that this is what I believe, he never really dealt with, and it was quite a trauma, that he began using drugs in his teen years. And so by the time he was in his 20s, his mid-20s, when this happened, he really didn't think that there was really anything wrong with it. He felt that it was part of the counterculture, And he'd done plenty of crazy things and risky things, and he was always doing risky things. And when I look back on it with my knowledge of psychology and my learning and my experiences, I think that my father, at the very least, has ADHD and was involved in all of this risky behavior, partially because that's part of who he is. Right? If you hear my dog whining, sorry about that. He just wants to come in and be with me. And I'm going to let him in soon. All right. So, yeah, my father started dabbling in trafficking, and he did it for reasons of pride and yes, to make a little bit of money, but not really that. He really did it to get in with the cool crowd, which is the musicians that he admired so much, where he was working, and that he also, being a musician, wanted to be in with them and tight. And hopefully, be invited to play together and such, So he had his own goals. In any case, he left he served 2 years or almost 2 years out of a 4-year sentence. And when he left, nobody told me. And I waited for days, trying to put together the words that my thoughts were such a swirl. I remember that time very well. I not being able to verbalize my questions and pick the right time to ask my questions. And so basically on day 3, my mother tells me, I looked up and I said, "Where's Derek?" My father's name, right? And from her point of view, it took me 3 days to notice he was gone. From my point of view, I knew he was gone the whole time. I just couldn't say it. I couldn't, I was confused, and I was very, very angry. And so that's part of my trauma, is losing my primary caregiver and my fun parent at that time, who was fun. And when he came back, he was, there was a distance to be bridged, but he wasn't emotionally capable. And so our relationship as father and daughter never recovered from my point of view. And it was agonizing while he was gone. And it was also agonizing when he came back, because he was bitter and he was less fun and he was more more extreme in his delusions. You know, his vision of himself as a famous musician never materialized, but he didn't ever create for himself another story to fill the role of, you know, a more reasonable story, a more accessible plot to life. All right, so that is the question of the day. Did any of your parents go to prison or jail when you were a child? And that is part of the Adverse Childhood Experiences questionnaire that diagnoses complex PTSD. And yeah, that's it. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're okay. If you've had this experience, I know how painful it can be. And at different ages, losing a parent at different ages has different emotional consequences. The older the child is, the more verbalization they can do, but it doesn't mean that the people around them are able to talk about it. And so that's where the trauma brews over time, is in the silence and the unsaid. All right, that's it from me from now, and I will talk to you soon, and I hope you're going to have a good day, and I know I will. All right, take care. Bye.